I'm starting Rome Total War campaign with a prologue. In the prologue, I'll learn how to command the House of Julii, 329 BC. You're the new leader, pater familias, of a young and upcoming noble patrician family. You have been given a military command by the Senate and people of Rome, SPQR, and must help forge a safe, strong, and lasting empire in Italy. Your first objectives are to repel a barbarian attack just near Rome and then move to take control of the town of Tarquini, to the northwest of Rome. As your tutor will have told you, it's up to you to seize the day. Carpe diem.
The year is 329 BC. Italy. Warring city-states vie for power and superiority over their neighbors. The Senate and people of Rome control the Latin states, but enemies surround them. The Republic stands at a crossroads in history.
Romans, senators, friends. Latium is firmly under the rule of the Senate and people of Rome. The Latin people are now one. Not since noble Brutus drove out the last king have we known such a glorious day. But now, my friends, in this hour of glory, we must be on our guard. To the south, treacherous Greeks and Samnites block our trade. Tarquinii groans beneath the tyrant's heel. That tyrant threatens Rome. Will we abandon Tarquinii? And now barbarians raid from the north, burning and pillaging Roman lands. Shall we let danger fester and grow? Or will we act as Romans, with courage and dignity? Remember, we are the sons of Mars! As Senate leader, I call upon tribunes Gaius Julius and Decius Brutus to smash the Gauls and relieve Tarquinii. All those in favor say aye.
It seems it has been decided. We will attack the Gauls.
I am Victoria, your advisor. I will be your guide through the world of Rome Total War. Follow my instructions and you will learn everything you need to know. To continue, left-click the dismiss button on this panel or my portrait.
I like her voice.
This is the area around Rome. Parts of the map you have not yet explored are shrouded in darkness. As you move your armies further afield, cities, armies, and the lay of the land are revealed to you. This is Rome, the eternal city of the Seven Hills, home of the Senate and the people of Rome. At this stage there is no empire, just Rome, with the Senate ruling and a few great families such as yours vying for power. You play the Julii, one of Rome's great families. At this stage, this is your only army, and you own no cities. Your mission is to assist the Senate in extending the power of Rome. Later, much later, you may have ambitions to take control from the Senate and become emperor. An army of Gauls is approaching from the north, and the Senate have sent an army under Captain Decius to intercept them. He has requested your assistance. Normally, each faction makes its moves in turn, but I'll move your army for you to get us to the battle.
General!
It looks like I'm able to initiate the battle, and so shall Let's
Prepare for battle!
order an attack. It looks like I don't have enough movement points, or my soldiers are just too tired to advance on the enemy. So I would have to skip a turn.
Battle is...
Looks like I clicked on her portrait a little bit too early, just before the dialogue showed up. In any case, I'm sure you've read that. Or you can rewind the video a little bit and read through what she had to say.
Ave, General. I am Marcus, trusted centurion and military advisor to your family. I will watch your actions on the battlefield and show you how to command magnificent armies and crush your enemies for the glory of Rome. Now, let's take a look at the battlefield. As you enter a battlefield, your view starts by facing to the north with armies deploying according to the locations they occupied on the campaign map. Your army joined the battle from east of the river, so it starts here. The Senate army joined battle from the southwest of the bridge, so it starts here. The invading Gaul army started in the northwest, so it starts here. The Gauls are beginning an attack. Let's take a closer look at the action. This is the acting commander of the Senate's legions, Captain Decius. He's a junior member of the Senate's faction.
Units! Move out!
Remember, the strength of a Roman army lies in its disciplined legions. They are the envy of the civilized world. Barbarian armies rely on brute force, strength of will, and an all-out charge to batter their enemies into submission. Once broken, they are easily crushed. The Senate has promised a reward to the soldiers who bring them the head of the Gaulish warlord, Dumnorix.
Okay. It looks like the Gauls are not trained as well as we are. The battle will begin with a skirmish.
It looks like neither army has summoned the will to engage just yet. Skirmishing could go on for a while. This is a good chance to show you how easy it is to command armies like these. This is your general, Gaius Julius, your faction leader on the campaign map and commander in the field. He is the most important unit. His wisdom and courage give both strength and morale to the soldiers around him. Use him wisely and victory is certain. You can rotate your camera view by pushing your mouse cursor to the edges of the screen, or hold down left-click on the ground and use your left or right cursor keys to rotate around the cursor. Your cursor keys move the camera left, right, forwards and backwards. Try this now. That was the basics of camera movement. To select your general's cavalry unit, left-click on the unit card or left-click on the actual unit. If you can't see your unit, double left-click on the unit card to move your view to that unit.
General!
When you're ready, while a selected unit is moving, you can use the movement toggle button to change your unit's speed. You might want the camera to follow a selected unit automatically. If so, use the delete key. Your camera view will lock on the selected unit. Use the delete key to unlock the camera again.
It looks like the key to run is H rather than R, which is normally in Total War games. So I'll better change
Double left
that
click on the
at
unit
some
card
point.
indicated. These Triarii are elite Roman spearmen. They are the You'll see that the camera pans directly to a unit if you double left click on it. If you use a single left click, it will select the unit card but not change your view. Our maneuvering has attracted the attention of the enemy cavalry, and they're coming this way. Archers are vulnerable to cavalry attacks. Protect them by moving your Triarii spearmen in front of them.
At the double!
Little do the enemy cavalry knows, we have spearmen, and these are the best units that we can field who are...
Triarii unit spears are one of the best weapons against cavalry. To attack the cavalry, move your mouse over the barbarian cavalry unit. When the cursor becomes a sword, double right-click to charge the barbarian scum.
Rich, experienced soldiers who can buy the best weaponry are there. Here.
Make sure you don't let your troops chase through.
Alright. Looks like we are hitting them with arrow fire as well. In any case, it has been devastating for the enemy. They have lost a seriously good cavalry unit. In any case, that wasn't all of them. I see that they have archers there as well. I'm going to send in a general unit. And at the same time I'm going to order everybody.
The enemy are now sending archers against us. Select your archers by left-clicking on them or their unit card. Now, right-click to attack the indicated enemy archer unit. Make sure you don't march your own archers into any hand-to-hand fighting. Archers default to skirmish mode and make poor hand-to-hand soldiers.
In any case, we're blasting the enemy with...
now select your generals who have
arrows.
nearly finished dealing with these barbarians.
Done.
With multiple units, it can be a good idea to select them all at once when giving them orders. Units acting together can be more effective than on their own. Use Ctrl-A to select...
It's time to get...
Another method of unit selection is to left-click on the terrain near you. The barbarians have noticed that we are moving to the bridge. Guard this end with your Triarii. Place your archers behind them. Use right double-click to get your troops there quickly. Destroy the barbarians if they cross the river. The game is now paused. You can do this at any time during a battle by clicking on the pause button or by pressing P on your keyboard. While paused, you can still move the camera and get...
Okay. To pause is just clicking on...
Now that you're ready to attack the enemy, move your Triarii spearmen to the left flank of the enemy. Use your archers and general as close support. When moving troops around on the battlefield, it is a good idea to walk them unless they are either mounted or close to the enemy.
Okay, so I didn't place the Triarii just at the edge here because I want my cavalry to strike them. Besides, these goals that showed up to intercept my soldiers are only skirmish youth, a skirmish warband, which isn't that big of a deal. As far as I'm aware, burning arrows would scare the enemy a bit more, but wouldn't be as effective in damage to them. But that could be a mistake. In any case, because they were skirmish youths, they will not approach my soldiers, they'll fight from a
Crossing a
distance.
bridge in battle, it is best for units to cross as fast as they can. Troops can be vulnerable to enemy attack during a crossing.
Okay,
Now
that's
get
it.
across that river and kill the remaining enemy.
That's how they celebrate. Let's go through. I see that we're going to have another one of their skirmish units here attacking us. I don't think that that's a problem. I think that I will be able to get rid of them with ease.
The barbarians have started a full-scale attack. Hurry!
Okay, here we're seeing that they're attacking us. On the front over there. Well, without a doubt, be able to defeat them, I have no doubts about it. Not all of their units are of poor quality, but they do seem to disengage. Our cavalry out there has been defeated though. I'm going to send my general to hit the enemy in the back. Right here. And in this way, hopefully, we'll tip the balance. However, that's unclear because the Romans have already been dislodged. But look at that. After the charge, the enemy has been successfully scared off. So the morale is playing a huge difference. Our main line was fighting while supported by the javelin men, who are equally important in such a battle. Here we see our general, our allied general, fighting. Triare are already here. Things are not looking bad at all.
Rome demands victory from her generals, and this day is clearly our victory!
Exactly. It's my or our victory. A brave man may fall, but he cannot yell, Latin proverb. So there are quite a few lines out there that...
Victory!
Now you've learnt the basics of the battlefield, I'm going to show you how to play on the campaign map. Battles last just a day, but building an empire takes time. On the campaign map, time is divided into turns, each lasting 6 months.
Okay. That's a useful thing to know, that lasts 6 months, one turn. I fast forward this by clicking space.
If you look at your army, you will see that the Senate has... The controls on the campaign map are similar to the battlefield. Left-click selects things, and right-click moves them. If you want to look around the map, use the up, down, left and right cursor keys, or just push your mouse cursor to the edges of the screen. Try it.
Okay.
Double-clicking on most things opens up a scroll with more details. The first time you see any scroll, I'll tell you what it's all about, but if you forget, you can always click on the question mark in the top right of a scroll. Don't do this now, as I have some more important things to tell you. It's time to get moving. Select the army indicated by using the left mouse button. And you have selected your army. You'll notice that as soon as you do this, the panel at the bottom of the screen fills with unit cards. Your general, Gaius Julius, gets a card of his own for him and his bodyguard. Use right-click to move all your units to the edge of the green movement area. Try moving where the arrow is pointing. The edge of the green area is the furthest point you can move to from your current position in one turn. Selecting an area beyond this will require more than one turn of movement.
Alright.
March!
Remember, when moving your armies around the map, it is best to do so in force. Moving your forces around in very small armies or as individual units leaves them very vulnerable to attack. Keep your units grouped together. The panel at the bottom of the screen gives details on whatever you have selected and has buttons that bring up a variety of scrolls. You may also have noticed that when you hold the mouse pointer over things, a handy tooltip pops up telling you what it is. You can look at these later by yourself in more detail, but for now I'll explain what each button does. This is your overview of the world. It allows you to see territories owned by factions you have contact with at a glance. It also shows your own territories. At present there is little to show, but I am confident it will get busy later on. This displays your currently selected character or settlement. From here you can cycle through all your characters, armies and settlements with the arrows to the side. Open an information scroll for a selected character or settlement by double left-clicking on the related item on the campaign map.
What else can you tell me?
Controlling a faction requires more than just a strong sword arm and a treasury full of cash. From here you can examine the state of your faction, keep track of your heirs, and make policy decisions. If you open this scroll, you can use the tabs you will see at the top to examine information about the Senate, diplomacy, your financial status, and other faction information.
Alright. Capital City none, faction leader Gaius Julius, family members 5, regions controlled 0, battles 1-1, battles lost 0, victory condition, Imperta, become the supreme ruler of Rome and control at least 50 provinces, 39 years remaining. Here's the financial information. Army upkeep 455. Here's some diplomatic information. So we see the factions that are currently in touch with us. Here we're seeing some information about them and how the Senate feels about these. So making treaties with them may be of use.
This shows the current season and lets you know if you are going to be fighting in summer or winter. This is important when you are fighting in the frozen north or in the arid deserts where bad weather can win or lose a battle.
Okay.
This is the end turn button. When you decide you have completed all your actions for a turn, you can click on this to advance the game. You have already moved your army, so now would be a good time to end the turn. It is now a new campaign turn. You will see that the money in your treasury is going down. In fact, you are borrowing from moneylenders. This is because you are paying wages to your army but have no income. You will need to capture a settlement to give you an income.
So
Money is essential to build settlements or troops. The circle button on the control panel is where you can see a summary of your empire's income and expenditure for the turn. At the moment, you have no empire, so there's not much to see there, other than the ongoing expense of maintaining your army.
Take a settlement.
From time to time, you will see a small picture slide down the left side of your screen. These are messages detailing important events that have occurred. It is important to read them as and when they appear. You can left-click on a message to open it. Right-click will dismiss it. You might notice a button in the bottom left corner of these scrolls. This will focus your view on the subject of the message. The Senate mission to capture Tarquinii gives you a chance to earn a reward from the Senate and to gain a settlement which will give you an income. It's the first step towards building an empire and should solve your money problem.
Obviously make me a
To
very
attack or
important
siege a
person.
settlement, left-click on the army you want to attack with, and then right-click on the target settlement. Depending on how far you are from Tarquinii, it may take you more than one turn to get there. If you can't get there in one turn, hit end turn after you have moved, and repeat until you have reached your target.
Okay. Here we get an end of turn report or our financial report.
Right-click to move your army to any part of the highlighted area. Attack by right-clicking on a rival's army or settlement. Merge with a friendly army by moving to the same spot. Embark on a fleet at a coast by moving onto it.
Okay, so we may attack the Greeks. and gain settlement as well. Before such an important battle, we may hire Samnite mercenaries. Samnite mercenaries are relatively dependable light infantry, but should not be expected to hold crucial sections of a battle line. They are not capable of standing up to professional heavy infantry, but their spears, bronze breastplates, and large shields make them suited to fighting against light and medium cavalry. The Samnites come from the Apennine highlands of central and southern Italy. Having lost the battle for regional supremacy to the Romans, they often served in the invading armies of Rome's enemies. Okay, so they are natural Roman enemies.
Attack!
And now I'm going to issue an order to attack Tarquinii.
This scroll contains your options for besieging enemy settlements. Left click.
Okay, I'm gonna go for 3 rams in total.
Settlement under siege, sir!
Done. I'm nearly completely running out of money. Coming of age. A Roman family can only be enriched by the coming of age of one of its sons, as in this case.
This scroll shows you the details of the...
Okay, Roman general. This general has a bodyguard of royal spear-armed cavalry to accompany him into the field. Armed with spears, these men are shock cavalry, able to deliver a devastating charge attack. They are then well trained enough to fight effectively in canteen hand-to-hand combat. Like all generals' guards, this unit is best committed to the fight at the point of crisis, when the general's inspirational leadership and the combat power of his men can tip the balance. Also, we can see his traits, so it looks like this guy knows nothing that would be considered of prestige, so nobody really knows anything special about him. So basically he, besides the very basics that would allow him to be a commander, knows nothing at all. So basically anybody with experience could win over him. Also, he has traits. He's restrained, a person who seldom allows his emotions to surface, making him seem a fool and distant. -1 influence, 100% increase to cost to bribe. So it looks like he's very hard to bribe. In any case, let's take a look what else we've got. First of all,
this scroll gives you important information about a particular unit type, the number of men in the unit, training costs, and upkeep, the amount of cash it costs each turn, its special abilities, if any, and some description. All of this can help you decide whether or not to train a unit.
The elites can hide in long grass, bonus against elephants and chariots, combat bonus in woods, fast moving, can snap. Oh, can sap, I mean. So, description. The elites are light skirmishing troops who screen the main battle line of an early pattern legion as it advances. They are armed with javelins and stabbing sword and carry a small round shield but no other protection. It's their task to harass the enemy before the main combat begins. The elites are recruited from younger citizens who lack the experience or the money for their own gear to fight as Astati or other heavy infantry. Roman elites become outdated after the Marius reforms. Historically, Marius put the Roman army on a professional footing and abandoned all property and age requirements in the process. Roman citizens would no longer go to war when as civic duty. They would fight in future as full-time citizen mercenaries in the legions. Archers. Costs as much as a elite, but is cheaper to upkeep. doesn't say how many missiles they have. Combat bonus in woods can use flaming missiles, fast moving can sap. Roman archers are supporting troops for heavier infantry, very much a secondary role in Roman warfare. They are missile troops almost exclusively, as their lack of armor and poor hand weapons mean that only a heartless or desperate commander would deliberately order them to fight in hand-to-hand combat. Archery is not really a significant part of the Roman way of warfare, but the need for some missile troops is obvious to Roman commanders, and hence these archers are recruited from amongst the peasant classes. Then we have our Samnite mercenaries, people who have been defeated by the Roman culture and now mostly serve simply as mercenaries.
General!
Then we start with the Hastati. Uses a missile weapon before charging can sap. Hastati are amongst the younger men in an early Republican legion and form the front line in any battle. They are supposed to wear down an enemy and hold him before the next Roman battle line attacks and carries on the fight. They are, as a result, capable troops in their own right. They are armed with 2 pilla that are thrown at the enemy at close range before they close to fight hand to hand. They are equipped with a sword, a bronze helmet, a large shield, and a breastplate. The pillum, plural pilla, is a cleverly designed spear with a soft iron shaft behind the point. It bends on impact so that it can't be thrown back, and if it's stuck in someone or something, it is a real hindrance to movement. Historically, Hastati spent their own money on their equipment and often couldn't afford anything much better. This, along with the age and property requirements, was why they fought as Hastati. Principes uses missile weapon before charging. Can sap. Principes are older, more reliable soldiers who have seen some service. It is their task to be the second line of a legion and carry on the fight once the Hastati are spent. They are supposed to carry on the wearing down fight and exhaust the enemy. They are, as a result, capable soldiers and unafraid of combat. They are armed with 2 pilla that are thrown at the enemy at close range before they close to fight hand to hand. They are each equipped with a sword, a bronze helmet, a large shield, and chain armor. The pillum plural pilla is a cleverly designed spear with a soft iron shaft behind the point. It bends on impact so that it can't be thrown back, and if it's stuck in someone or something, it is a real hindrance to movement, always assuming whoever it's stuck in isn't dead. Historically, Principes spent their own money on their equipment, and being older, were in position to buy better gear than the young Hastati. This, along with the age and property requirements, was why they fought as Principes. So let's compare these and their stats. So missile attack 7, Hastati, the melee attack for Principes is 7, Hastati 7 as well. Missile attack for Hastati 11, for Principes 11 as well. Charge bonus for Principes is 2. Charge bonus for Hastati is 2. Weapon type heavy versus heavy. Total defense for Principes is 16. Total defense for Hastati is 14. Armor is 5. Defense skill 4. Shield 5. Hit points 1. Here we see that armor is 7. Defense skill 4 and shield 5. Recruitment cost for Principes 490 and Hastati 440. It looks like these two are very much similar. They fight with the same capability. They are paid the same amount, or cost of maintenance is the same for these. And the only difference is that Principes wear better armor, which just simply gives them better protection when they're being, for example, shot at by arrows or sliced. They will have more metal on them, which will protect them from cuts. And then Hastati, you can see they would wear just a plate in front, maybe some underneath chainmail, while the Principes would have, I suspect, a better chainmail with some leather on top, which would make them more capable fighters, because they have a much better armor, or just slightly better, in any case enough to live longer. Triarii, that's the most expensive unit, and if you look at the stats, they fight much better than the Principes. Principes is 7, Triarii is 16, charge bonus 3 versus charge bonus 2. Their weapon type is light compared to the heavy Principes, so if these get hit in the back with cavalry, they would suffer greater casualties. Also, the defense is 28 compared to 16 or 14 for Hastati, 16 is for Principes. They cost 500, which isn't that much from 490 or even 440 really. I'm not sure how the economy works, but the difference of 60 doesn't seem much. However, the upkeep is certainly greater to 210 compared to 170 for both of these individually. Now let's learn more about them. Bonus fighting cavalry, obviously that's due to the fact that they hold spears. They have good morale, so they would certainly fight almost to the death, or so it would seem. They can sap. Triarii are tough, heavy spearmen who make up the third and most senior part of a Roman legion before the military reforms of Gaius Marius. They carry a long hoplite-style spear, the hasta, which is used to thrust a long shield, and the gladius. They are the oldest veteran soldiers and well armored, hardly surprising given that they are also drawn from the richest section of society. The Triarii are the last available line in early pattern republican legions. Going to the Triarii is a Roman saying meaning carrying on to the bitter end, and if they are used, it's a sign that the moment of decision in a battle has arrived. Historically, Triarii spent their own money on their equipment and could afford to buy the best of everything. And that's why they are so capable at fighting. It looks like it's kind of as if all of these men are of nearly the same quality in terms of skill and strength, and the only difference is armor, and Triarii are so much better armed that they could defeat Principes or Hastati soldiers. Now we have the onagers. Very expensive to manufacture, 830, but the cheapest to upkeep. One thing about them, as far as I'm aware, a unit with an army with an onager would not travel as far. So abilities at a glance: area attack, very long range missiles, can use flaming missiles, can hide, inaccurate against troops. The onager is a catapult jokingly named for the tremendous kick it has when fired at the enemy. An onager is a wild ass. This war machine is powered by a twisted spring of animal sinew ropes, the most elastic substance available. The throwing arm is held in tension by the sinews. When pulled back and held by a catch, it can fling a boulder with considerable speed and range. This version can be used for reducing stone fortifications, but it can also be used on the battlefield for destroying enemy artillery and harassing troops, although admittedly by killing some of them outright. The onager can also be used to launch incendiary missiles such as fireposts making it a versatile piece of artillery to any commander. So Firepot would probably be some kind of a explosive device, which would just simply set everybody on fire. And here we have two commanders.
This scroll shows you details of a given general in your faction. The small panel at the top shows his rank, name and current skill levels. Beneath are listed his retinue, traits and details of any mercenaries that are available for hire at the time.
Okay, we have no mercenary available. He's veteran centurion. So I checked on the mercenaries solely so that I could see how much upgrade they, but it looks like they don't cost any more than a Hastata Principe. So let's take a look at our faction leader. First of all, he's a brilliant commander. At the sound of this man's voice, even the clowns change their flight across the heavens. The management. So how well this guy does when managing a city. Administration is not this man's forte. He can manage simple matters, but without skill. So the better he's at management, the more money the settlement will make. Influence. Sometimes this man's counsel carries weight and his opinion is sought on carefully selected matters. Not sure exactly, but I think that this would allow him to increase in the Senate floor much quicker, and he would reach much better positions. So first of all, he's a faction leader. Being the leader of a faction gives this man a certain amount of power and influence regardless of his ability. +2 influence, +1 command, +3 to personal security improves the chances of detecting and foiling assassination attempts. Untouched by fear, this man never feels uneasy when going to battle. Battle is an old friend to be greeted and enjoyed. +1 morale for all troops on the battlefield. Military genius. This man was born a military genius. With battle experience he could become an exceptional commander. +4 command. Good commander. This man shows signs of greatness when commanding armies in the field. +2 command. Confident attacker. This man shows signs of greatness when commanding attacks. +1 command when attacking. Sharp. This man is quick to grasp new situations and doesn't miss much. +1 influence, +1 command, +1 management. He understands strategy. This man has a basic grasp of strategy, but his studies have only just begun. +1 command, fluent speaker. This man speaks well, influencing many of his listeners with his well-reasoned arguments. +1 management, improves the chances of getting elected to senatorial offices. 5% bonus to your popularity with the Senate. Political animal. This man is an aspiring politician, although his education in the art of politics has only just begun. +1 influence improves the chances of getting elected to senatorial offices. 5% bonus to your popularity with the Senate. So influence has a good connection with the senatorial offices, just as I expected. So now that we know what's in our army and more about the leaders themselves, let's start.
Engage the enemy!
Defensive.
Settlement under siege, sir!
This scroll lets you view important information about your faction, including your progress through the game and battle statistics. In addition, you can globally automate construction, recruitment and taxation. There is also a slider that is used to decide what proportion of your treasury the AI will spend when following an auto-management policy. Use the tabs at the top to view information on your faction's diplomatic standing in relation to your rivals and a financial summary for the turn.
But only after I check the family tree. So it looks like my son has come on age, he's 16. I have 2 more sons. Gnaeus Julius, age 15, so he's soon going to join the ranks, and Decius Julius, age 14, he also is going to soon join the ranks. Also there's Metella, age 34, so she's reasonably young and pretty. At 34, she may bear more children.
Engage the enemy!
It's time to launch.
Winning a battle isn't just about troop numbers. The balance of unit types and general's command ability are essential. Look at the army strength ratio and any reinforcement information before committing your troops. The buttons on the right of this scroll represent your battle options. Mouse over them to see what each one does.
Okay, so arm strength ratio 9:2. I really like this picture over here. It's really cool. It's very beautiful, very well made. I like Romans, and I think this just looks beautiful. Battle deployment. Your forces attack an army of the Greek cities. That's how the faction is called. This indication means that this army cannot flee from the battle. If it loses, all units will be destroyed. Word in the skull. Admetos of Dyrrhachium. That's how he calls himself.
This scroll shows you the known details of an allied, neutral, or enemy character, his skills, retainers, character traits, and job. If he is a general or admiral, any intelligence on the composition of his army or fleet is displayed here.
Okay, so enemy character leaders. Admetos of Dyrrhachium. Let's find out who exactly we're facing. So it looks like he has a poet in his court. The deeds of the great are surely worthy of an epic poem or two, +1 influence. He's a confident commander. This man is definitely developing his skills as a general, +1 command. This man has a basic grasp of strategy, but his studies have only just begun, +1 command. Skilled infantry commander. This man has a fine understanding of the best way to command infantry in battle, +1 command when commanding infantry. So this man lacks a real aura of command, but makes up for it with a good loud voice and a small talent for instilling fear. This man has almost no influence over his dinner menu at home, let alone his life and the fate of the world. Looks like this man's wife knows everything. General's armored bodyguard. This general has a bodyguard of large spear-armed men and armored cavalry to accompany him on the field. Armed with spears, these men are shock cavalry able to deliver a devastating charge attack. They are then well trained enough to fight effectively in continued hand-to-hand combat, even though they do not carry shields. Like all generals' guards, this unit is best committed to the fight at the point of crisis, when the general's inspirational leadership and the combat power of his men can tip the balance. Okay, let's find out who exactly we are facing here. So first of all, they have Peasant Brigade. Peasants are reluctant warriors, but numbers are useful in all armies. Forcing peasants to fight is one way of getting lots of men in the field quickly and cheaply. They have little tactical sense and even less willingness to fight. They would rather be defending their own homes than be dragged into a battle they neither care about nor understand. If nothing else, they are useful when there's digging to be done. They are, however, experts at reading the land and hiding whenever there's cover. So another way of using them is by populating other settlements. So basically they could just, for example, take a settlement, let's say Ancona, and assign it to the Senate. The Senate may decide that Ancona it doesn't have enough population, so they would recruit peasants, march them to Ancona and disband them there, in turn increasing the population in Ancona. The population in the game grows by percentage, so then they would start to grow from a bigger number than usual. This obviously costs more money, but this would increase the population count greatly, which would unlock upgrades.
This scroll shows you the known details of an allied, neutral, or enemy army or fleet. Any question marks indicate details that are currently hidden from you. A skillful spy may be able to discover the missing information.
So what I wanted to say is that it may allow upgrades to upgrade the city, which would help increase the population even further, allowing more units, better buildings, and eventually the settlement would make more money, which is the most important part here. Okay, next let's go to the pell tests. 107 infant pell tests, 100 for peasants. The peasants are pretty much useless, as you can see. They are as I mentioned, more of a unit that would just be used for migration, in my opinion. Peltasts can hide in long grass, bonus against elephants and chariots, combat bonus in woods, fast moving, can zap. Greek peltasts advance at speed to pepper an enemy with the javelins, and then withdraw in good order before a counterattack. Can be organized. They are skirmishers, and it is their task to harass and disrupt enemy units before the main battle line clash. They are also adept at staging tactical ambushes. Peltasts are equipped with a clutch of javelins, a sword, and a light shield, the pelte, which gives them their name as pelte bearers. They wield no other armor and rely on speed as the best form of protection, and this isn't much protection should they be caught by cavalry. Okay, militia cavalry can form Cantabrian circle, fast moving. So Cantabrian circle means that they would circle a force. So basically, if there's a brigade here, they would just circle that brigade and shoot. Militia cavalry are a javelin armed mounted skirmishers who can strike quickly and be gone in time it takes a more ponderous enemy to react. They do not wear armor but do carry shields and swords so that they can fight in hand-to-hand combat should the need arise. They are however best used to dash in and harass a mass of enemies such as heavy infantry who cannot hope to catch them. They are not ideally suited to fighting other skirmishers. Many of their javelins will be wasted against targets who can dodge after all, but they can be very useful in harrying fleeing enemies and driving them from the field. And then we have a proper line of militia hoplites. These are inexpensive, extremely effective. They are very cheap to maintain. Can form phalanx, bonus fighting cavalry, poor morale, can sap. Militia hoplites are levies drawn from cities and thrust into battle with little training. They fight best as spearmen and are armed with long spears, and each carries a large round hoplite shield which gives them their name. As a type of infantry, hoplites have been around for centuries and have changed little in tactics or equipment. These men wear no armor, but then they are drawn from the poorer classes, and it is traditional for citizens to provide their own war gear when called into the army. The cities of the Greek world have a long tradition of the people defending their own cities from invaders. They are at their best when used as a solid block of spearmen and can form a phalanx to attack the enemy. Well, what can I say? Our information about them is a little bit wrong. They are underestimated. The phalanx formation that they are employing requires a lot of precision and hard work, so they're from early age taught how to form phalanx, so they don't really need much of an extra training. Hold the spear and gouge your opponent's eyes out, or just stick that spear into his body parts. Now it's very difficult to beat them in the front. In any case, we'll be fighting a...
The strength of an army is shown on its banner. The more colour on the banner, the more men are present. Any stars next to the army show the command rating of its general.
We'll be fighting a siege battle, so it's gonna be a bit different. Not going to be as easy to outflank the enemy. In any case, we do have artillery, so hopefully the artillery will be very helpful at lowering enemy numbers down.
I am no friend to fear. This many men know about me. But I do know that fear can rob a man of his dignity and his honor. At this moment in the enemy ranks, fear is doing its work. Soon we will do ours. Over there stands the Greek army. They make a fine show and are worthy enemies. I command this army with pride. 3/4 of all our warriors await my orders, and I have faith in every one of you. I know that together we will win this fight. They have been lulled into a false sense of security by a few feet of defensive wall, as if that will protect them. We outnumber them by a small margin. From such small beginnings are great victories crafted. Those people have never met us on a field of battle. After today, they will flee at the sound of our approach. When I set my heart on an attack, I do so knowing that I will win, that my men will win, that victory is within reach. All we need to do is stretch out and grasp the foe firmly by the throat. The omens have been better, but I dismiss those priestly naysayers. They are holy men, not warriors, and a warrior makes his own fate. And before we start, just remember, they are more scared of us, true Romans to a man, than we are of them.
Siege equipment is automatically deployed for you. The unit selected to control it has a ram's head icon in the corner of its unit card. If you would like a different unit to control the equipment, select the unit currently in control and left-click the Special Ability button. The unit will drop the equipment. To assign a new unit, simply select its unit card, mouse over the siege equipment and right-click on it when the hand icon becomes visible. Left-click on Show Me How.
In any case, we've listened to General's speech, which was certainly really cool. Here I'm going to position everybody quite close to the front, and I want
Use your onagers to smash down the walls of the enemy settlement by left-clicking to select your weapons and right-clicking to target them. However,
I'm just going to advance on the enemy, and I want my onager to start shooting at everybody else. Okay, this ram isn't even moving. Looks like the rams can be placed very close to each other, so we'll have to spread them out. The problems that I may face here is that the enemy may just...
You have pressed the Fire at Will button for the first time. This toggles Fire at Will on and off for the selected troops. Toggle Fire at Will off if you wish to preserve ammunition.
In any case, I don't want to preserve ammunition. I'm placing them by the wall so that my troops could start
It is possible to set alight arrows to rain fire and death down upon the enemy. Flaming arrows have reduced accuracy but are more devastating when they land and have a greater effect on morale. Left-click the Show Me How button to see how to do this.
As you can see, Veldays are already blasting the enemy, and that just looks absolutely
Our soldiers
beautiful.
are at the walls! Now they must batter a way through!
Alright.
Our soldiers have reached the gates with a battering ram!
3 battering rams have reached.
A well-placed rock can kill a lot of enemy troops, but it's hard to hit anything smaller than a settlement wall with these machines. Target dense concentrations of enemy units so that you hit something even if it wasn't what you aimed at.
Okay.
Our soldiers have done their work well! The battering ram has broken through the gate!
Now, I would kind of expect enemy forces to... Ooh, that was friendly fire hit. I would expect enemy forces to approach us at least a little bit, so that my Hastati would successfully start shooting at them. And so it seems that they are moving around.
Your siege weapons have knocked through a section of the enemy settlement's walls. Divert your heaviest troops to attack the breach. Without haste, the defenders will be ready and your advantage lost.
The only thing I really want to do here is to just make sure that everybody's shooting. And it looks like they were not standing too far away. They were standing just fine. Still a bit of getting used to with the H key that command's running, but I think it's kind of good because I'll get used to pressing a key that's much further away than usual. Okay, so here I'm still focusing on reducing enemy numbers, and at this point it looks like it's just fine. Let's start moving forward.
Once your men are in combat, you can make them break off just by right-clicking on a point behind them. Make sure you click well back though, or the unit will stop too close to the enemy.
Great gods!
The best way to clear away enemy missile infantry is a direct...
Okay, so here we see a fight, a proper fight. Okay, these guys are of no use now. These Velites, without their ability to successfully shoot, they will not be of any use. Okay, that game looks really beautiful. I like the way it feels crisp. It's very crisp, extremely crisp.
If your infantry are about to be charged, you will press the skirmish mode button for the first time.
Alright. I see that
Enemy cavalry are charged. Spearmen are the best troops. Enemy cavalry are readying an attack on the flanks of these already engaged spearmen. Either pull them back.
It looks like we have them where we want them. And their general may just die if he
Gods who fill
continues.
the heart of the enemy general with fear.
Lower quality.
Okay, here's our mercenaries.
The gods be praised! The enemy general is dead! His men know their doom approaches!
Okay, it looks like we are beating this initial engagement over here, as well as their peasants here being slaughtered, so no resettling for them anytime soon. Also, I'm going to separate my forces in 2 groups, and we can just move forward slowly but surely. Okay, they're all running. Eventually, if they reach the town center, they will regain their focus. So just like that, everybody is marching forward. My general's unit can successfully show up here, and it looks like I missed
Standing
out
under
on
fire
some
is
tree
never
area.
a good idea. But if you must,
In reserve.
keep your troops in loose formation, stationary and facing the fire.
Okay. Okay, so let's get this battle group forward and engage. Now, as you can see, they're not very eager to fight this. I want them to run forward here. These were mistakenly selected. Alright. here.
One of your units is under attack from an enemy missile unit. You are currently using close formation. It is more difficult to hit a loosely spaced formation. Chasing after cavalry archers and javelin men is generally fruitless, and therefore only worth doing if you can drive them off the map or against some impassable terrain. The best way to deal with them is to...
Alright. I've changed the formation by clicking this so that they would die from missile fire. And now I'm going to order them to just run forward.
Attacking spearmen from the front is a good way to kill them.
Also here, I need to use the cavalry for outflanking, flanking, and the infantry just...
Spearmen are about to attack your cavalry. Excellent. Attacking...
Just like that, that's gonna be beautiful. Boom! The phalanx got hit.
You have pressed.
So if there's going to be a bad formation, the troops may not engage in close quarters with enough companions, and they
The gods be praised!
Be slaughtered.
The enemy's hearts are full of fear, and now they flee!
Okay, let's continue the battle. This is a day for both the games, as true enemy has gone to join his ancestors. May he trouble them as much as he does at metals of their
Rome demands victory from her generals, and this day is clearly our victory!
Exactly. This day is clearly our victory. Okay. We have taken settlement.
Well done. You have freed the Tarquinii from tyranny. The Senate of Rome has voted to allow full citizenship to the Tarquinii. You must now develop this settlement and put business in order. This will take less time if you do not enslave or exterminate a settlement.
Okay. This settlement has fallen to the might of your army. Victory is yours, and the fate of the settlement lies in your hands. Capture settlement, Tarquini. I could occupy the settlement. Gain from looting is 569 dinar. I can't enslave the settlement because not enough population is to enslave, which would increase the population in my other settlements. I could, however, exterminate the population. Population to be massacred 4,569 dinar. Gain from looting 3,983. This could be useful if I would prefer to keep the money and get rid of the population that would otherwise be very difficult to control. However, they are Greeks. The Greeks tend to be reasonably well educated as far as I know, and I will not go for extermination. I will just occupy them. As far as I'm aware, there are not that many Greeks living in Italy anyway, and they may end up being a final addition to Italian Romans.
To keep this settlement safe and to support your troops, you need to improve Tarquinii's public order rating and your income. To do this, you must 1. Build a shrine to Jupiter to help keep the population happy. 2. Build better roads to increase trade and troop movement speeds. 3. Build at least 4 units of town watch to act as garrison. Although you will need to spend a few turns clicking the end turn button to achieve this, don't worry. You can spend this time exploring the scrolls and buttons on your control panel. There will be more action soon.
Okay. So first of
This
all,
scroll gives you all the important information about a particular building, how much it costs, how long it takes to construct, and its game effects. Some buildings can be important because they allow you to build other, more advanced buildings in the future, so it's worth reading all the information here.
we have ourselves a new city, or the first city. That makes me a very important person. Governor's Villa enables training of peasants, enables recruitment of diplomat. Description. The Governor's Villa is the place where important decisions are made, and it gives the locals a taste of Greek grandeur. It also serves as a training ground in basic politics and the uses of power. The villa is also a sign that Greek domination is permanent and secure. The villa allows development in the settlement to begin in earnest, as it marks the town as a place where investment are worthwhile, improvements to existing structures and new building projects are now possible. So as you can see, this Governor's Villa is of a Greek culture, not of a Roman culture. We occupy the Greek settlement, and here we see that this villa is a sign of Greek domination, which is not Roman or Gaul or whatever other nation is out there. So this will have to be upgraded to Roman way of showing influence, power, governance.
This is the button you click for recruiting armies. No faction can survive without armies, and this is where you build them. You need to have the money and a population to recruit from, of course. This button becomes the mercenary hire button when you have an army outside of a settlement. Mercenaries are expensive, but can be useful in emergencies when troops are needed immediately.
Alright. So here we can see our recruitment panel. And as well, we can repair units and retrain. So these won't retrain on auto as they did in Rome 2 Total War. This is more complicated. We'll have to actually march our armies in the cities where the capabilities within the city have to meet the requirements of our troops to be retrained. So in other words, for example, an onager man cannot be trained in a village where nobody knows anything about the onagers. Even the recruits or the soldiers working with the onagers may not be able to help train the new recruits. So there has to be certain structures that would help retrain these. However, all buildings can be repaired.
Manual recruitment can only take place when a governor is present in a settlement. If there is no permanent governor in place, you may wish to queue up units for training. Left-click on a unit to add it to the recruitment queue, and again to remove it. You can change the order of training by left-clicking and dragging unit icons in the queue. You will not be able to train any units if there are too few men in the settlement to recruit.
First of all, let's take a look at our peasants who will be used for migration. They have poor morale, can sap. Peasants are reluctant warriors, but numbers are useful in our armies. Forcing peasants to fight is one way of getting lots of men in the field quickly and cheaply. They have little tactical sense and even less willingness to fight. They would rather be defending their own homes than be dragged to a battle they neither care about nor understand. If nothing else, they are useful when there is digging to be done. They are, however, experts at reading the land and hiding whenever there is cover. The town watch. So these would be trained to look after the cities. There are no regular armies in the towns that would be considered to be garrison. The only armies that can defend are the forces that the faction actually considers to be their active forces. And that's the thing here. So town watch. The town watch are local workers and peasants given enough training to defend their homes. and keep order in the streets. They are no substitute for fully trained Roman legionnaires, but then they are not expected to be more than a citizen militia with an interest in keeping the peace, and possibly they might have some firefighting duties. They do not have much equipment, as the most they are expected to do is stand behind their spears and shields and then hold position when charged by and dodge. This they manage to do. A spy. A spy discovers information about rival factions. He can be used to gather information about rival cities, armies and characters. The longer he remains in place as a spy, the more information he gathers. He can also cause discontent in rival settlements, and if he is inside the city under siege by his own faction, he will open the gates to them. Well, as far as I know, he may not always open the gates, but there's always a chance he will. A diplomat. A diplomat is an individual trained in the arts of flattery, cajolery, smooth talking, and sometimes even bullying, who is sent out to deal with rival factions. It is his job to strike bargains, cement peace treaties, or even demand a surrender. Diplomats also act as the eyes and ears of their factions in the places they go. So, in order for me to conduct diplomatic matters, I actually have to send diplomat to other factions to do it, or the other faction has to send a diplomat to me, so we could agree on things like trade agreements. There's no other way. Alright, so the next thing, let's learn more about the city. First of all, we have a Bidden Paradise. This Bidden Paradise was initially constructed by the Greeks, and here we're going to read more about the Greek buildings. Some of the Greek building types may be shared with us though. Extra wall defenses. Provides us with extra wall defense. A wall of logs around the settlement gives a comforting sense of security, but it cannot delay attackers for very long. It's enough to keep livestock from straying at night. That said, a palisade like this is cheap and easy to erect even for an unskilled workforce. It will help make a settlement feel like a homely place where people live, work and prosper. So,
manual construction can only take place when a governor is present in the settlement. If there is no permanent governor in place, you may wish to queue up buildings for construction. Left-click on a building's picture to add it to the construction queue and again to remove it. You can move buildings in the queue to change construction order by dragging and dropping within the queue. Right-click on a building's picture to view its description.
okay, so it says that there needs to be a governor, but it's not like that really. As far as I'm aware, it has been changed. Maybe that was the thing when the game came out, but this is 1.51 patch or so, over 1.5. So it's not like that anymore. It can just be unclicked and it will be just fine. So let's take a look.
Sir! Sir! Onward!
If I move my governors out,
Ready to ambush!
I can automate everything. Here I wouldn't be able to do much. I would automate my recruitment and construction. That would make them recruit consistently, which would be bad, and construct consistently anything they wish based on the policy. The policy...
Left-click on My Portrait in the scroll to ask for advice on what to build next in this settlement.
Okay, let's find out. It looks like she won't tell much. Here.
This is the settlement scroll, the nerve centre from which construction, recruitment and economic matters are managed. As you can see, there is a lot of information on display, but don't worry, it really isn't as daunting as it would feel.
Okay. In any case, these buildings here would certainly end up being Roman type. So let's further take a look at what we've got. The market. As a settlement grows, the returns on trade improve too, as long as merchants are encouraged to do business. An organized market allows locals to trade and brings in outside traders too. It's a place for people to meet, buy and sell, and catch up on gossip. Many goods are available, including information, at the right price. Trade can of course be taxed. It can also be improved when this building is upgraded. The market is also a place to hire those who specialize in the information business. Increase in tradable goods, population growth bonus 0.5%. The blacksmith upgrades light weapons +1, upgrades heavy weapons +1. A blacksmith provides superior quality weaponry for any troops trained in the settlement. His skills in metalworking are exceptional, far beyond those of ordinary smiths who make agricultural implements. He is an important man in the community, as good weapons are always valued by the men who have to use them. A blacksmith who can make a strong sword that won't break or bend in combat is a great asset to his people. This is a very important building because it would make my armies more capable, but they can only make my armies more capable with better armor and weapons in the settlement that actually has blacksmiths. So these better weapons are not really traded through them, but they actually can only be manufactured in the city itself. Sewers. Public health bonus 5%. Sewers efficiently wash away the filth and rubbish from a settlement, making the place cleaner. Indeed, one measure of civilization might be the distance between one's nose and the final resting place of one's bowel movements. Sewers therefore help civilizations forward. March. Communal farming. Improved farms and food production +2. One slash and burn agriculture has worn out. The land one response is for farming communities to organize and work collectively. Communal farming produces a surplus through minor economies of scale. Tools and resources are pooled, and everyone works as a team to gather the harvest. Individual failures are minimized by these methods, and the increased output adds to population growth. This kind of farming can be upgraded as the settlement grows. Roads. Improved roads and trade. These minor roads have been made usable by the military only where necessary, and for the most part they are ancient in tracks worn into the landscape created over generations. Military engineers improved these ancient ways a little with simple bridges, a stony roadbed in marshy spots, and by cutting back vegetation. They are not ideal, but are certainly better than nothing. Mines. Income from mining +200. That's also important building early on to build because it gives income a turn. So if I don't build this for 10 turns, I pretty much lose 2,000. Mines are needed to exploit the natural wealth of a province, although the dangerous underground work costs the lives of many slaves. Most mines are not very deep as they are dug by back-breaking labor and follow the richest seams of ore into hillsides, drift mining, rather than having vertical mine shafts. Where gold and silver are to be found, mining is sure to be priority over the land's overlords. Odeon. Public order bonus due to happiness 5%. This theatrical space is cleverly designed so that a poet's words can carry to the whole audience, bringing them happiness, moving emotions, and enriched lives. The Greeks have much to be proud of with a rich cultural heritage, and the Odeon makes sure that this tradition lives on wherever Greeks are to be found. An Odeon can be upgraded as the town increases in size. Militia barracks enables down watch and has started. Militia barracks have better facilities to train and house semi-regular soldiery. They can be improved as the town, its population, and wealth grow. Being citizens at arms, militia have chosen to defend their homes and loved ones, but they may not be as professional as full-time soldiers. Their barracks are clean but lack creature comforts. These men are here to learn the skills of war and defend Rome, not to enjoy themselves. Okay, the first things I'm gonna recruit is a spy. as well as I'm going to retrain. It's a trick. First of all, it's important to retrain them build, because otherwise...
Left click on my portrait in the scroll to ask for advice on what unit to recruit next.
In any case, I don't care. Okay, so this is what I could ask, so let's ask.
It would be a sound strategy to train a unit of Hastati at this time. Hastati are the first line of attack in a legion and the youngest soldiers.
Okay.
At this time, it would be a sound strategy to build a shrine to Jupiter in this settlement. This shrine grants loyalty benefits.
Okay. So, if I would just kind of recruit and then retrain, the first turn it would recruit and not train. While if I retrain and then build, it would retrain on 0 turns and build this in a turn. I'll leave one out just to make sure. And that's that.
Imperator! Forward!
Also, I need to...
You can obtain better quality weapons and armour for your men by constructing a blacksmith, armourer or foundry in this settlement. Once complete, these buildings provide superior equipment for all new units trained here.
I need to choose a shrine. One shrine gives public order bonus to happiness and growth. Another gives a massive public order to happiness. And the third gives some happiness and some law bonus. The shrine is dedicated to Jupiter, the supreme god of Rome. He is the special protector of Rome, the lord of heaven and the bringer of light. Auguries are the way in which Jupiter communicates with the mortal world, and his priests are skilled in reading signs in the flight of birds, sacrifices and so forth. Religion always makes people feel happy and content to know that the gods are honored. This shrine can be improved as the settlement grows in size and importance. Shrine of Bacchus, public order bonus due to happiness, 10%. The shrine is dedicated to Bacchus, the god of wine. He is a noisy and rowdy god at the best of times. At his worst, Bacchus is downright dangerous to those who aren't his followers. Drunken revelry may only be the start of a serious session of enjoying the wine that Bacchus provides. Religion always makes a people feel happy and content to know that the gods are honored. The shrine can be improved as the settlement grows in size and importance. Shrine of Ceres, public order due to happiness, 5%, population growth bonus, 0.5%. This shrine is dedicated to Ceres, the goddess of grain and fertility. She is an important figure in assuring that crops are sufficient to feed everyone. She is equated with the Greek deity Demeter, and worship of the two often overlaps. Religion always makes a people feel happy and content to know that the gods are honored. The shrine can be improved as the settlement grows in size and importance. Let's take a look at the stats.
This scroll contains a detailed look at the various aspects of settlement management. Details of this settlement's trade situation can be viewed by clicking the Trade Summary scroll button at the bottom left of this scroll.
Let's take a look at the income. So, your armed forces total running costs are divided up according to settlement size. This amount is being paid from here, 2093. From here.
Review the state of your faction's finances here. You can increase your income by adjusting the tax rate in a settlement, opening up trade routes, or exploiting natural resources. Your cash reserve is also permanently displayed to the left of the End Turn button on the review panel.
Okay, so it looks like the settlement is giving us quite a bit of cash. 300 mining, 760 from farming. It's absolute fortune, really, considering that an army costs 2093. It's not bad at all. One settlement can field an army that's not full in size, but it's certainly considerable force that could win a battle. Population growth, so buildings provide some... In total is plus 5%. Explorer.
This scroll lists at a glance your generals, their location on the campaign map, status level within your faction, and the number of troops under their command. Right-click on their portraits to access more detailed information about their retinue, character traits, and the content of their armies.
Okay.
This scroll lists at a glance your settlements, their size, population, loyalty, and information about the governor. Right-click on the governor's portraits to access more detailed information about their retinue, character traits, military forces, and settlement statistics. This scroll lists all the named characters in your faction not attached to an army or fleet, their profession and status level. Right-click on their portraits to access more detailed information about their retinue, character traits, and settlement statistics.
Alright. So I can only construct one unit at a time, which is the thing for it. Which shrine will I choose? I'm gonna go for a Shrine of Jupiter here, which would give me a public order bonus due to law and public order bonus due to happiness. I may as well consider a population growth bonus, but this eventually may not be kind of good enough because the people wouldn't be controlled well enough without a huge bonus. I would have to spend considerable amount on town watch, but I'm not sure just how much the building would give me. So if I'm thinking right now long term, I would go for Shrine of Jupiter because I think that the public order bonus due to law and happiness would just kind of make the settlement a lot more happy, loyal, if you wish to call it like that.
You have constructed a shrine to Jupiter. This will help increase Tarquiniai's loyalty to Rome. Make sure you upgrade your barracks in order to allow recruitment of units. This will allow you to move existing troops out of Tarquinii and onto more important duties.
Alright. Looks like we are making money. Or no, we're making minus. So in other words, we're losing money. And that's not good. Not good at all. That means we have to move forward and defeat our enemies in battle. So this is where I'm going to end the prologue, because approximately here the grand campaign starts, and the grand campaign map is much larger than this, and the troop count will be much greater as well. So it's time to move on to the grand campaign.